When you look at the data and then you look at how people feel, there's a huge disconnect in what the data says in regards to this economy and how people feel. If you look at the data, or you look at the Federal Reserve, or you look at our political leaders, most will say that the economy is strong and that we're nowhere near a recession. But if you ask the average American, one of the 300 million average Americans, or perhaps even your own family or yourself, it probably feels a lot different. So why is there this disconnect between what the data says and how people feel? That's kind of what I want to answer. So first we have to understand the data. So when you look at unemployment, it's extremely low. It's under 4%, even in the face of high interest rates, which is rare. Secondly, if you look at GDP growth, we are above 4%, which is quite phenomenal for a mature economy like the United States. So when you look at the numbers, yeah, maybe we're not in a recession. But then if you look at how the average American feels, it's a different story. Why? Well, because the average American doesn't just look at data. They feel how things are in regards to their work and what they can afford. And most people don't give a shit about the data. They want to be able to afford a good life. And they come to this country, or they're accustomed to this country and how it is, with being able to provide the American dream, which is something that this country has always stood for. So when they cannot afford the American dream, or they feel like they are being squeezed at every corner, they're going to feel like they are in a recession. So what is causing that primarily right now? Well, let's look at the American dream. What consists of the American dream? Probably a house, probably not even a fancy car, just a car, and probably being able to afford your bills, right? And make memories with your family. And when you look at those metrics, there is a huge problem, primarily because of prices. Now, Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve Chairman himself, did acknowledge this in the most recent press conference for the Fed meeting. He said that prices are primarily the reason why most Americans, for a lack of a better term, feel poor.
While inflation is coming down, and that's very good news, the price level is not coming down. Prices of some goods and services are coming down, but overall, in the aggregate, the price level is not good. So people are still living with high prices. And that is something that people don't like.
And this is what's going on. Right now, the Fed is fighting inflation. For the last 2 years, inflation has been extremely high across the board. So what ends up happening is, let's say you feel financially stable right here. This is inflation, this is your wages. Over the last 2 years, inflation has outpaced wage growth significantly. Finally, right now, we're starting to see real wage growth, which is just another fancy economic term for saying that wages are growing faster than the rate of inflation. Okay, so right now we're finally seeing that. But because for the last 2 years, inflation has outpaced wages by so much, you don't feel like you're making any extra money. For those of you that are even getting wage increases, because that's another thing. Where are the wage increases? Are they the average American, or are they upper management, right? Okay, so wages right now are finally outpacing prices, but until they catch up from all the damage that was done over the last 2 years, people are not going to feel financially stable. The average American is not going to feel like they can pursue the American dream. So what caused all this? Because this is another question that I get asked a lot. Primarily, at least in this time, it has to do with quantitative easing, which is money printing, which really isn't money printing. It is the Federal Reserve creating basically imaginary bank balances onto an imaginary bank balance, imaginary bank reserves onto an imaginary bank balance, and then purchasing treasury bonds and mortgage-backed securities. Okay, fancy term for basically injecting money into the market. And since 2020, that is what the Federal Reserve has done because of the things that we went through in 2020. I don't know if I can say that here on the internet. On top of that, the US government borrowed and borrowed and borrowed a ton of money to stimulate the economy in the form of stimulus and PPP, which is paycheck protection programs. Okay, all that money has to go somewhere. And when everyone has all this free money and nowhere to spend it, eventually when the economy opens up again, people spend their money, which increases prices in an environment where supply chains were already fucked up. So that's what's caused primarily the price increases. And when we look into the future, and we look at the state of the American dream, or how we're going to ever get back to the American dream, the only way that that changes is if wages increase, because prices are not going to go back. Nobody wants deflation. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video, but the Federal Reserve will not let deflation happen, which means that prices that we have now are the prices that we're going to be stuck with forever. And if the Fed gets what it wants, which is 2% inflation, it means that prices will get more expensive every year by 2%, if not more. So the only way to fix this is for wages to catch up. Here's the big problem with that. Corporations and employees have a conflict of interest. Corporations see wages as an expense. Employees see wages as a revenue source. So corporations want to minimize their expenses, while employees want to maximize their revenues. So what happens? Corporations want higher prices and lower wages because they want to make more money. Individuals, consumers/employees, want lower prices and higher wages because they have to spend that money on things. So you have this huge conflict of interest that happens at every level in business. Yes, small businesses treat their employees better. That is true. And on top of that, the majority of the businesses in the United States are small businesses. Here's the problem. When it comes to volume, that is usually a big business/corporation/public company thing. And public companies have a fiduciary duty to return profits to who? Not to employees, to shareholders. So you have this conflict of interest. One other thing that we have to understand is even small businesses want to make money. They want to make a profit. So even though small businesses do tend to treat their employees better, they're still going to maximize profit, which in a sense means not paying their employees everything they are worth, because then there would be no profit in the business. Now, I think most employees don't care about being paid everything that they bring into the business. What most employees care about is to be paid a fair wage to be able to afford the American dream lifestyle. And when I look 5 years into the future, nobody has a magic 8 ball. Okay, I'm not God. I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room, all right? But when I look 5 years into the future, I see that lagging wages and basically unaffordability of everything is going to remain a huge problem when we're talking about economics, especially in the United States. The lack of wage growth is going to be a problem. And until we figure out how to pay our employees better or somehow magically create a lower priced environment, especially when it comes to the big ticket items like real estate and like cars, this is going to be a problem. So how do we fix this? Well, a couple of things. One, the major ticket item, like the biggest ticket item is houses. That is the largest purchase that pretty much anyone will ever make. And right now, houses are unaffordable. Now, houses either need to come down in price or, again, wages need to go up. Right now, houses are extremely expensive for a myriad of reasons that I can touch on a different video. Basically, there's not enough supply. So we need more supply. We need more supply in houses so that those prices can come down. The car market is finally starting to stabilize, and maybe we will get a reduction in car prices. But prices across the board, when you look at the CPI, right, which is a basket of goods, those are always going to go up. So that leaves it in the hands of wages. And unfortunately, I don't have an answer when it comes to this. If you have suggestions, I would love to hear them in the comments. The point is, I don't have an answer to how to fix this, because just simply by how this is structured, corporations and individuals are at odds and have a conflict of interest. So other than that, I hope this video was informative. This video wasn't necessarily to create solutions, because me on the internet talking to you guys on YouTube probably cannot create any solutions, but I can bring light to the problems. So hopefully someone watching this video who's much smarter than me might be able to make a suggestion. And that's what I want. I want this to be an open discussion, and I want these videos to be informative from the perspective of someone who does have their degree in finance and wants to share that with you guys, because finance is an extremely complicated topic. But if we break it down, we keep it simple and just talk in plain English, hopefully a lot of people can take benefit from that and learn when it comes to finance. And that's all that I can ask for. So if this video was helpful, informative, spurred thought, etc., and if you like personal finance, world economics, all those things, you're in the right place. This This is my second channel. It is a brand new YouTube channel, so please consider subscribing. It helps the channel tremendously, and please turn on the bell notification so you don't miss the next video. This channel is really just for me to give you my thoughts and to teach you everything that I've learned through my education as well as my experience in this field. So other than that, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. I hope that the American dream isn't dead, and I hope that we can see it somewhere off in the horizon. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.